The National Union of Teachers who are organising the strike, 170 schools off across Surrey against long working hours and against changes to their pension scheme, to the average as opposed to their final salary scheme. So they don't like any of those three. Paddy Marshall is the South East Regional Secretary with the NUT, told us earlier on that just because many other workers are facing similar issues, it doesn't mean they shouldn't fight for their rights.
I accept completely that there are a lot of people suffering with challenges in terms of pay, pensions, and indeed workload. But that doesn't mean that it justifies a sort of a race to the bottom. Everybody is entitled to reasonable remuneration, reasonable pensions, and a reasonable workload.
We thought it'd be interesting to have a quick look at teachers' pensions then and ask the question, are they worse off to other workers on similar sort of salaries? And Jennie Kreser joins us now, pensions expert and partner at Silverman Sherliker. Thanks for joining us, Jennie.
Morning, Neil.
Right, okay, so how can you explain this in simple terms, what's happening to the teachers' pensions and how that compares?
Yeah, so the old style, a classic defined benefit scheme, is based on it's a formula. So it's a percentage of final pensionable salary multiplied by the number of years you've been in service. And of course, generally speaking, most people would expect that their final pensionable salary would be their highest salary that they would ever have earned.
Right.
So, do the math, you can see that that's the maximum kind of that you might have expected. What the proposal is, or what's been suggested, is that instead of using final pensionable salary in the calculation, that they're using a career average salary. So in other words, you take an average of your salary over all your working life.
So their salary is going to be, their pension is going to be worse.
It is going to be potentially slightly worse. It kind of depends, I suppose, about what kind of progression you've made in your career. I suppose if you start off at the bottom, say, middling, yes, the chances are perhaps, you will have an effect that way. On the other hand, if you make it to being a head teacher fairly early in your career, you actually could potentially be better off. So
I see.
It's very much dependent on an individual's career path.
Right. Okay. So I understand that. How does that compare? I mean, a lot of people say, "Oh, yes," but in the private scheme, they would love to have these public sector pensions. Explain. Is that true in your view?
I think that's going to be the case as we carry on. As I'm sure many listeners will know, the old traditional defined benefit scheme is a thing of the past, and most people are going to be now on what are called money purchase defined contribution schemes, and that's a whole different creature, and that is not dependent on an arithmetic formula. That is entirely dependent on the contributions going in, both from the employer and the employee, hopefully.
Which might mean that they have to put in more to get the same out, maybe.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely right, because it's dependent on often the stock market, because it's the interest or the investment that you can earn on the money. It's a direct correlation between what's going in and what you get out. And most people in the private sector now are going to be on these kind of inferior. I put that in inverted commas because it depends how much.
But historically inferior. We're all historically inferior to the way we were. So there you are. We're born in the wrong generation. Just get over it. Jennie, thanks very much indeed. So the NUT, you've got a point. But we're all suffering with our pensions. I suppose is generally the answer to that. Let me get your thoughts on this. 81333. Start your text with the word radio. We want to know how the strike is affecting you.